Houston, where the Michigan Wolverines have their first outright title since the Harry Truman administration, 34-13. The celebration rages on and figures two into the wee hours of the morning. Respect for Rome Odunze there from Jim Harbaugh. He's one of the very best receivers in the land. They largely bottled him up tonight, which is quite a chore. The 13 points for Kalen DeBoer's team, the fewest since he has been coaching there. It's been a short window of time, and Washington has already accomplished so much. But Michigan, it's been a slow and steady burn to get to this point. They crashed the playoff 3 straight years, and now tonight they get to get their hands on the biggest prize in the game. Hi there, welcome. This is SportsCenter from the nation's capital. I'm Scott Van Pelt. Perfect season complete. Michigan, winningest program in college football history, has reached the summit once again. Jim Harbaugh hopefully will join me a bit later for a one-on-one conversation. Mason Graham will be with us pretty soon. We will be able to discuss the celebration that is imminent for them as they are national champs. We'll get the losing perspective as well. An exclusive interview with Kalen DeBoer with Molly McGrath also on the way. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis will join from Houston. Tim Hasselbeck here in studio to break down what led to the title for the Michigan Wolverines. Let's get to the highlights on how Team 144, as they refer to them in Ann Arbor, gets to 15-0. They were going to have to keep Michael Penix Jr. bottled up as best they could. Coach Harbaugh getting J.J. McCarthy ready. And this was the story early on. Donovan Edwards, not Corum, Donovan Edwards bounces it off to the outside. An opening drive touchdown for Michigan, the first in the last 6 games. Edwards' first touchdown since November 11th. Michigan leads 7-0. Washington went on a lengthy drive that got inside the red zone, but got only a field goal. Same kind of script, but this time to the right side. Kind of bottled up, patiently waits, then makes one cut and is gone. Edwards, the first player with multiple 40-yard touchdown runs in a BCS or college football championship game ever. And it's 14-3. Second quarter. Hey, there we go. Hey, who are you? I'm your brother. Who's got it better than us? The Harbaugh brothers celebrating on the sidelines. Well, not celebrating yet, but a hug. It's a 4th and 7 play that Washington has got wide open, but Rome Odunze is missed by Penix. You see that how you lose that guy, I don't know, because clearly he's one of the best receivers in the country, but they just are not able to connect on 4th and 7. Washington turns it over on downs. Under 5 to go. Michigan goes for it on 4th and 3. McCarthy looking for Roman Wilson. It's knocked away as he comes to the sidelines. Sharon Moore pointed the play sheet. Wonder, was there a miscommunication? What happened on there? But Michigan hands field position to Washington. And this time, Penix is able to cash it in. There was a flag at the top of the screen. Penix was actually calling it out in real time. Finds Jalen McMillan. Don't worry about the flag. Coach DeBoer and the Huskies thrilled as they carry momentum, if you believe in such things, into the locker room. Stars are out in Texas. Derek Jeter, Stephen A. Smith, Michael Jordan and company watching as the second half gets going. Remember how the Rose Bowl nearly started with a pick on the first play for Michigan, but the Bama defender was out of bounds? In this case, Will Johnson inbounds, first play of the third quarter. Penix gets blasted, and Michigan gets the pick. Michigan gets a field goal, and it's 20-10. As Chris Fowler said so well on the broadcast, largely a grinded-out third quarter. Penix had not had that patented deep pass. He finds Odunze, but there's a flag on the play. And Washington fans and Twitter are grumbling quite a bit about holds that perhaps were missed on Michigan. Here, Roger Rosengarten called for a flag and a hold. That wipes off the big play that the Washington offense was looking for. Again, they trail by just 7 at that point. Here comes a big play. And the passing game hadn't been all night, but McCarthy finds Colston Loveland, and that is a monster gain for Go Blue. And then McCarthy rolling out. Finds Wilson. They're inside the red zone. We're under 10 minutes to go in a game where Washington struggled to get offense. A field goal maybe would feel like a lot, but a touchdown would feel like a mountain to climb. Blake Corum is in. And Michigan beginning to really sense this is theirs. Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor for those that couldn't get to Houston. They're feeling the moment. More McCarthy enjoying it, but there's still time on the clock, and this is such an explosive offense. Case in point, Penix, Odunze, 44-yard grab. And Washington into Wolverine territory. But that Michigan defense was so tough all night. They get not only the stand, but Mike Sainristil, and Sainristil gets the pick. And he is such a playmaker on this defensive side. 81 yards. And now it's Corum again into the paint. And everybody knows what time it is. It's time for some jewelry. It's time for a Gatorade bath. And it's time to celebrate Team 144 in Ann Arbor. 15-0. They hand Washington their first loss, and give Penix credit. He was courageous all night. He stood in and took a pounding. The Harbaugh family able to celebrate this together. Start and a flurry of punches to finish. And that is enough for Michigan, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit to be national champions. And boys, you know the game has changed a lot, and you guys have called so much of it over these past few decades, right? But it is kind of refreshing in a way, Chris, that the more physical O-line and the best tackling team, it still adds up, you know? That's still a recipe that could equal a championship. I kind of like that. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, somewhere like Fielding Yost, Bo Schembechler are smiling because this was done the Michigan way. The blueprint, as you said, was done decades and decades ago. They got away from it for a while. They couldn't block anybody in the offensive line for about 10 years at Michigan. But, boy, they've reestablished that legacy in an overpowering display tonight.
Yeah, and Scott, you follow this sport so closely. I think you have a great appreciation for where this program has been in the past.
Yep.
You go back to Rich Rod and Brady Hoke, and, you know, they kind of lost their way. Jim Harbaugh comes in and reestablishes things. And he didn't do it maybe on the timetable that some of their fans wanted. 2020, the COVID year, was a tough year for their fans.
Yep.
Let go of a lot of guys on his staff, made some adjustments, got younger, and got more ferocious on both sides of the football. And they've been building the last 3 years for this moment. Had some tough losses in the postseason against TCU and Georgia. I think those losses really drove them to this night through a lot of adversity, a lot of noise around their program. But it's very fitting that these guys are national champs after the growth they've made these last 3 years.
Well, what Bo say, those who stayed were indeed champions in the end. And that patience that you allude to, Herbie, is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Look, there was plenty of noise, plenty of chatter, plenty of people in Ann Arbor like, look, that guy can't beat Ohio State. He's been here 6 years, so 2-4 in the COVID year. Stuff had to change. I give him credit. This is a pretty set in his ways guy, pretty rigid guy, because it's worked, but it wasn't working. And I think it's interesting that he got nimble, took a pay cut, got younger, as you say, on the coaching staff. And look, 3 years later, they've been to 3 straight playoffs, and now it results in a championship. I think that's pretty instructive across the board, isn't it?
Yep, Scott, and Scotty, let's go back to what you said when you first threw it to us about still blocking and tackling. When he first got there, do you remember they had talked about we're going to go get Josh Gaddis and we're going to go run the spread and Shea Patterson is going to come up from Ole Miss, and we were all kind of scratching our heads like that doesn't sound like his days at Stanford or with the 49ers. That's a little bit – maybe he's doing what Nick Saban's doing. Okay, maybe he's just going to be this new era coach. And when they didn't work out, they went back to Sherrone Moore style. Let's win the line of scrimmage. Let's win and invest in our offensive line and tight ends and be an old school approach to this offensive game plan. And it's worked for him. And it helps having a guy like J.J. McCarthy who's cerebral, athletic, makes good throws, has that it factor, is a winner. And these last 3 years, he's taken them back to where they feel they belong.
Chris,
Whatever
I know
you think of Jim
and
Harbaugh,
I.
he's polarizing, Scotty, but he can spot great coaching talent. He can inspire them, develop them, and then get out of the way and let them do their job. And it's an amazing staff because they didn't have their head coach in the building for half of the regular season games.
Right.
That's a footnote to this season. We're never going to see anything like that again.
No, I agree, and I forgive me for interrupting. I know that you and I and Herbie, we share sort of an appreciation for what these nights are, right? It's the culmination and it's earned glory really for this program. But I ache for Kalen DeBoer and his team. There were 6 really key guys that could have left, and they decided to stick around, and it led to this. And they come up short ultimately. But I wonder, as our attention's drawn to Michigan, and it should be, I feel that Washington undoubtedly has earned everyone's respect for what they put into this year. They were really bottled up by a great defense. How do you frame the end for Washington?
Interesting, when you have a matchup of an elite offense with all these playmakers and a brilliant passer against a tough defense, sometimes that defense can make things that were so effortless, so easy, and so precise all season long look suddenly very difficult, very challenging, and very painful because they knocked Penix around a lot. He never looked comfortable. He was off target. He missed some receivers. He had a big play called back that's going to be a controversial holding call. But
right.
It just never was his kind of night. He never could find that rhythm, and I give credit to Michigan's front.
And I think, we had a cameraman go down. Hopefully he's all right. One thing I would say to that, Scott, is this is our 5th time we've called Washington football game, and we've watched everybody play. You have a great appreciation for who they are. It makes me appreciate Michigan and what they did tonight defensively, because we just watched Washington against Texas, and it looked like Madden's video game. I mean, Michael Penix was throwing darts all over the field, and all of a sudden a week later he plays this defense, and they do this to him. It wasn't just that he didn't put up numbers. He was confused. This is a guy that's had answers the last 2 years against everybody they've played. Tonight, he didn't know if they were coming or going. And again, I give Michigan the credit for that. That's not just having an off night. That's the defense that you faced creating that.
Chris, I know you've got the Australian Open, and that's good. And I know Herbie's got vacation, and that's good. I'm happy for both of you. But Herbie, I'm really concerned about Ben. I feel like America is going to need to know where the dog came. This is America's dog. And this dog's going to be looking for an airport in a couple of days. Like, I'm not going home, man. Like, I'm supposed to get on a plane. Where am I going?
He's going to Cabo next, I think. He's going to take
is he? Oh, is Ben out there?
He's going down there. Yeah. Come here, Ben. Yeah, he's going to go down there for 8 days.
America's dog. Like, I need to know the itinerary. Where are we going to find him?
He's going to be international starting tomorrow.
Hell yeah. Wheels up to where? Yeah, go ahead.
Can I amend Harbaugh? Who's got it better? Ben.
There he is.
Better than everybody.
There he is.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
boom,
Big
boom,
Ben.
boom, 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 boom.
Come on, Big Ben.
Benny,
There we go.
Give me something.